What's up, brochachos? It's your boy, Tanner Wyman of Barbarian Body. Today I've got for you 6 super killer tips that's gonna allow you guys to actually lose weight without any form of exercise at all. It's pretty cool. Let's jump straight into this thing. Before we get into this, I need to make a word of mention. Of course, the only way we're gonna be able to lose fat if we're not doing it through exercise is all nutrition. And in fact, you're gonna actually have to be fairly strict on the way that you're eating in order to actually lose this weight. But the alternative is you don't actually have to use any form of working out, exercise, or sweat. Do I recommend working out? Of course I do. But you guys want tips on how to lose weight without exercise? Tons of people have done this. So let me tell you the 6 best ways to do that. Let's start right now. So the very first thing you must do is you're gonna calculate the exact amount of calories that your body needs on a daily basis. You're gonna take into account your activity level. All from like the amount of work you do, if you walk around the house a lot, if you have more of an active lifestyle, you take all that into account. Once you've calculated all of this, you're going to then create what is called a calorie deficit. What this calorie deficit is going to do is it's going to allow you to eat less than your body needs on a daily basis in order to actually burn fat. Now, I'm not going to get into the exact specifics about this. I have a video about this right here. I will include a link in the description that's going to walk you through this. It's super simple. But that's the very first thing you need to do. Find out the exact amount of calories that you need every single day. From there, you must be hitting that calorie deficit, because if you're not, no matter what other tips you follow here, you will not lose the weight, especially if you're not exercising. So it's incredibly vital that you follow that tip right there. Primary number 1. Now, tip number 2, this is to help you guys with your hunger. You're gonna actually have to eat a pretty strict deficit because you're not doing any type of exercise at all. So you're likely gonna be getting very hungry. Now, the best way to combat this is by eating 2 specific types of foods. Proteins, high protein foods, and high fiber foods. Both of these are very satiating, meaning that they're gonna fill your stomach up. You're not gonna be feeling hungry after you eat a lot of these foods. So it's incredibly important that you're eating this. And as well, in combination, this is just a little bonus tip here, drink a ton of water. You guys have probably seen this and heard this everywhere. The more water you drink, the more full you're going to feel, especially in combination with a high protein and a high fiber diet as well. This is gonna allow you to make this calorie deficit a lot more manageable every day, so you're not starving throughout this, because we want this to be as realistic and practical as possible. And by filling up and by giving yourself the nutrients that your body needs, so you don't starve and you don't feel starving, that's gonna be your key to actually sticking with this whole regimen long term. Now, here's another bonus tip that I wanna add to this. You also wanna have very low calorie foods, obviously, right? So what are some very low calorie foods? Almost all vegetables, incredibly low calorie. There's a majority of fruits too. I'm going to include a list right here of all these different fruits that you guys can eat. And all these different vegetables, I'll include the vegetable list here. All of these here are super low in calorie. And when you're eating all of these fruits and vegetables, your stomach is gonna be so full, so you're not hungry at all times during the day. And the other benefit of eating these low calorie foods is obviously you're gonna fill up on them, but mostly these massive amounts of micronutrients, things like vitamins and minerals, calcium, vitamin A, vitamin C, all of these different micronutrients that your body's gonna soak up, so you don't feel like you're on a crash diet. You're gonna have high amounts of energy, your skin's gonna look good, you're gonna feel great, and you're not gonna feel like you're starving yourself, which is one of the biggest mistakes that people make, especially when they go out to try and lose weight without any form of exercise. Because most people just go on some type of starvation diet. By following this, by doing this, you're gonna feel incredibly full and incredibly revitalized and energized. Now, next, this is monstrous. Avoid high sugar foods. When you have this stuff, your blood glucose levels rise. Once your blood glucose levels rise, your pancreas is gonna start spitting out a ton of insulin just to rid the body of all the blood sugar. Now, what happens when all this insulin is released in your body? It goes into what's known as a fat storage phase. And obviously, from just the words there, your body is just gonna start storing all of this fat throughout your body. The more you can prevent these spikes of blood sugars, which is gonna cause a spike of insulin, the more you can prevent your body from going into one of these fat storage phases. So, as I mentioned, I gave you a list of a couple of those high glycemic indexed foods or high glycemic foods. So I'm gonna list about 5 to 10 right here. These are foods that you want to avoid. These are what's gonna cause the insulin to be released in response to a high blood glucose levels. These are foods that you would want to go after instead. You know, you've got steel cut oats here, you got stone ground whole wheat bread, you got other forms of whole wheat bread as well. You want to have more of these foods, and you want to try and substitute as much of these for as much of these as possible, so you can prevent those blood glucose spikes and the insulin spikes and then the fat storage process. I'm telling you, man, when you start doing this, the amount of fat that you will lose when you make this change, fat is just going to evaporate off your body. That right there is one of the biggest tips, in conjunction with a calorie deficit. Now let's get into the next one. Liquid calories. Avoid these like the plague. The reason liquid calories are so bad is because, you know, we got things like pops or sodas, we got frappuccinos, cappuccinos, venti, latte, mocha, whatever's, anything that comes from Starbucks, those drinks. We got things like Red Bulls, we've got alcohol, hard liquor, what I'm talking about there, beer. All these drinks pack so many calories in them, and it actually tricks your mind because you don't really tend to think, oh, there's probably 300 calories in this frappuccino. Actually, some of these Starbucks drinks, take a look at this Starbucks drink right here. You guys actually remember the unicorn drink that they had. That thing looked incredible. Did you know it had this many calories in there? And that is just absolutely insane. A lot of these drinks pack a ton of calories. Here's sodas, for example, okay? Here's hard liquor. Here's what 4 shots of hard liquor looks like. Here's what a Red Bull looks like. Avoid the liquid calories. They pack a severe punch. Next step, this is going to help you actually start to apply these things. This is incredibly important. Now you've got your plan, now you need to reinforce your actions. You need to go into your kitchen, you need to go in your cupboard, you need to go in your pantry, you need to go in your fridge, you need to go in your freezer, you need to go in your deep freezer, and you need to clear out as much of the bad stuff as you possibly can. Now don't just get rid of this stuff and make this incredibly difficult. I always recommend you start by having everything. So decide half of all the bad foods you have, all the popsicles and the freezies and the cookies and those really calorie dense unhealthy granola bars with like 40 grams of sugar and they're like this big, and all of your yogurts that like are yolks and stuff like that, and everything that you have, ice cream sandwiches if I haven't said that already. I want you to go in there and cut out half of those things. Go online, take a look at some healthier alternatives. Find things that are much less calorie dense. Find healthy substitutes for things. So when you're going and you're getting rid of some of your sugary snacks, I want you to go and substitute that with fruit, strawberries, cherries, grapes, pineapples, apples, bananas. Start to do that. I want you to add a ton of vegetables into your fridge as well. Stock up with a lot of the good stuff. Have all of that junk food. Put it in places where you're not going to see it. Go put it in your garage if it's going to make it incredibly difficult for you to go access and get to. Because once you stop seeing all these things constantly, every day, multiple times throughout the day, that's when you're going to have a lot less cravings. Because you have this thing called willpower. When you open up the cupboard and you go, oh, I'm not going to eat unhealthy, and then you see frickin' Twinkies in there, you're going to go, oh man, that's really tough. And you might be able to close it the first time. Let's say it's 9 a.m. 6 p.m. comes, you're going to open the cupboard again. Oh man, there's those Twinkies. I am really hungry. I got to have my chicken dinner or whatever. 9 p.m., 10 p.m. comes, you can see it the third time, your willpower is going to be absolutely zapped by this point. It's been worked since the morning, it's been worked since 6 p.m. You're going to look at it, you go, oh, whatever, fine, I'm just going to eat it. I'm going to work out extra hard tomorrow. And guess what? Every time you go to work out extra hard tomorrow, it never happens. It's actually probably the slack workout. Remove as many of these problematic foods as you can. Substitute it with the healthy stuff. Get the fruits, get the vegetables, get the steel cut oatmeal, get things that are a lot less calorie dense, but try and find healthier alternatives. Here's a list of all these healthy snacks that you guys can start to substitute. These are incredible, and these are things that I highly recommend, and this is what's going to allow you to feel like you're not sacrificing the way that you're eating. Make it easy on yourself. Stop making it so difficult with your diet. Tip number 6, last one, avoid distracted eating. And I want you to also slow down the rate at which you're eating. Now, I've heard this a million times. I always said, oh yeah, okay, that's really gonna have a huge change. I stopped a lot of my distracted eating for a while, and the effect that I noticed was I was getting a lot fuller. I was not eating nearly as much as I did. When I gave myself time in between each serving, because I could plow through like 3 bowls of pasta, no problem. When I ate that first bowl, and then I gave myself what I would do is about 10 to 15 minutes in between each one. Then I would go into that second one, and I was still pretty hungry. And after that second bowl, I would have normally eaten 3. I was like, yo, I'm actually pretty full. I don't even need this third bowl. It's pretty gluttonous. When I started doing that and taking time in between each meal, when I stopped and I put my phone down while I was trying to eat, when I stopped and turned the TV off while I was trying to eat food, I noticed I was able to get a lot fuller a lot quicker. Because when you're distracted eating, you overeat. It's just a ridiculous amount. There's been so many studies, if you take a look right here, at the effect of overeating by being distracted. The amount of overeating that happens when you're distracted, as you can see right here, is just absolutely incredible. So turn off all the devices. Give yourself time between each meal. I say 10 to 15 minutes in between each meal. Give yourself time in between each bite, because there's a lot of us, and if you have weight to lose, you probably eat a similar weight to the way I do, which is you pick the bowl up and you just shovel it in your mouth. Be aware of these things. Address them. Fix them. I want you to try and pay attention to the way that your skinny friends eat too. They probably eat incredibly slowly. You've probably finished 3 bowls of pasta at the same time as me, and your friend's only on like half of their first bowl. Adopt those characteristics. Pay attention to that, because that is what's going to make the most amount of difference. So there you guys go. 6 of the most killer tips to lose weight without doing any form of exercise at all. You need to be incredibly strict. You need to have that calorie deficit. Here's all the points. Review them, memorize them, stick by them, and apply them every single day, and you will see an immense amount of results. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to give your boy a like down below, and also be sure to subscribe for weekly workout tips and nutrition tips that you will not want to miss. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. See you in the next video.